Hey gang, welcome back. It's been about 3 years since my last video, so I decided it's about time for a new one. It's going to go over the holiday house, which isn't done, but it's getting there. So I thought it'd be a good time to kind of walk you through the progress and how it's looking these days. 1962, 18-foot holiday house. Just back from a 800-mile shakedown cruise up to Washington by the Canadian border for a show in Lyndon, Washington. So kind of set it up the way we had it up at the show. Excuse the shaky camera work, but just wanted to show you, give you a few pointers. I took it to the DMV to get it registered. Thought I'd keep the protective plastic coating on it to protect it. Word to the wise, a little hint, never leave that on when you drive. I had it loose at the edges after putting on the trim, and you can see what happens when it flaps in the wind. It'll scratch your polished aluminum. So, point number one, don't do that. It'll come out, but it's a few hours that could be avoided. Overall, it came out really nice. New skin everywhere. I left the door original. That aluminum on it is pressed and can't be reproduced really. I could do a workaround, but when it's all said and done, I'd rather have it original. Unfortunately, the skin was too far gone, and also with the amount of work that goes into, at least for me, rebuilding the walls, etc., it's tough to get that old skin to match up with the new dimensions. It could be done, but they put rubberized roof sealant on this originally. It dripped all over the sides, and the skin was not good. The one piece of skin that's still original is here in the middle on the back. That's going to get painted. There's going to be a stripe down the sides, which wraps around that center area there where the license plate's at. It's still got the original 2-inch brake. I did not go with the 2-inch brake on the rest of the skin, so it's a little different. Some people probably would say, it's got a match everywhere, but I tried to have that piece reproduced, but it did not turn out well, so I thought I'm going to use the original. Kind of a little nod to the heritage. That's the heritage panel on this, I'm calling it. Skin overall went on nicely. There's a couple of spots that I won't show you where it's got a little too much of a wave. Actually, you're looking at one of them. Hopefully you can't see it, but I sure can. But it's one spot where I didn't replace the framing, and it wasn't as nice as I had hoped. But these big front windows are kind of the iconic thing with the holiday houses. It's also the one place where it leaked at the show up in Washington because it poured down rain for a day or thereabouts. Up here in the corners, right there, and over here on both sides of the trailer is where it leaked. That happened when I lowered it to get it on the hitch, and all the water that was on the roof that had been pouring off the back when it was more or less level came whooshing towards the front. And I caught it quickly so nothing got damaged, but it was a pretty good leak. I injected some silicone very carefully, a small amount into the location, and it stopped pretty quickly. So I'll be breaking out the hose for some testing, make sure I got that. Got a sign shop to reproduce the holiday house decal on the back. That came out pretty nice, unless you're looking at it in some funky light where you can really only read the, every third letter, at which point it becomes a Hildy-hoo, but it's nice. That only happens in some goofy lighting conditions, but it's kind of fun. All the windows are working nicely. Everything's good. Got some reflective tape on the propane. That's kind of a little Little touch that turned out nicely. Oh yeah, and if you were around in 1961, your fallout shelter may have had one of those. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Take you inside. That's contact paper on the door. Turned out real nice compared to the kind of nasty, dull, fake wood contact paper they had on it originally. Marmoleum flooring. I do like it, but it is, just FYI, it's really slippery. And if I didn't have carpet tape under that entry rug and that one there to really hold it down, probably would have had a few injuries at the show, because if you push off on that to get outside without any carpet tape, it shoots across the floor and you fall on your face. But enough of that. But like I said, got it laid out like it was at the show. A little radio from the late 50s. Got some cool fabric for the big curtains up front. I was working like crazy for a month to get this thing ready to go up to the show, and the last thing I was doing at 9 o'clock at night before we left was putting in a very nice little drapery reel. Believe it or not, that's the same as the ones that were installed in these in 1960. That company is still around making the same railing, and it's nice and small and perfect. Got the groovy little peace sign. I put some fairy lights inside of it, and it lights up and does some cool blinking at night. A little eBay find with the starburst. All the cabinetry is original. The ceilings and the walls have all been redone with new plywood. They had quite a bit of water damage and just were really not savable. Quick look at the bathroom. It came out nicely. Originally it had a porcelain toilet and a shower. It was a microscopic shower. It was also 5 inches higher originally to handle a gray water tank under the floor, so I hit my head on the ceiling. And when it's all said and done, this is a much better setup. It's comfortable, large enough to get in there, do your stuff. Thetford curve works really well. A little sink for toothbrushing. A little medicine cabinet. I also got to learn how to use a sewing machine, so we've got some nice rocket ship fabric. Speaking of which, fun with fabrics. If you go camping, eventually you're going to get abducted by aliens, so there's some fun with that. But original lighting fixtures there, up in the bathroom, above the kitchen, up front, underneath there. So stove worked perfectly. That was fun getting that working again. Oven works as well. Got a nice little spot to hang up some clothing. Got the water heater down there. I got the water nice and toasty. My wife really appreciated that. Got the replacement Norcold fridge, which works. Got to hit the spark for the propane about 73 times before it turns on, but once we figured it out, it started to get things nice and cold. Yep, this took 3 years, and I thought it was going to take about 1.5 to 2 years. So if you want to tackle one of these on your own, be prepared for a definite endeavor. It's a heck of a lot of work. I did a lot of work on canned hams in the past, and this is nothing like a canned ham. It is way more complicated, and I had 3 or 4, maybe 5 hours of really appreciated help from friends and my wife, but 99.9% of it I got to do myself. One big exception was this big fiberglass brow. I turned that over to a kind of a fiberglass expert that took all the rubberized roofing material off of it. It was an absolute mess when I got it. And he got it to the point where it could be painted by a nice body shop in the area. Turned out nicely. It was quite a project, and there's still a lot to do on it. I've got some trim pieces to put on it there along the edge of that front window, for instance, and then a few other spots. But turned out nicely. Be getting it painted in the not too distant future. Try to do another little video then, maybe. If you want to see the nuts and bolts of how it went together and all the details, go to Vintage Trailer Talk freeforums.net, and I've got a thread there that takes you through all the gory details of getting this back together over the last number of years. But thanks for checking in. Hope you're all well, and take care.